Hey Culture Family, I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And welcome to another episode of Marriage Journey, where we talk about our unique journey in our marriage. Just trying to be open and share our experiences that hopefully it'll inspire you guys and help you guys along your marriage journey. Remember that we came to realize even before we got married that we have to create our own culture in our household, and we pray that you guys are able to do the same.
Yep, so like we always say, every marriage is unique, but we have parallels, and I'm sure everyone's trying to create their own environment, create their own value system and culture. So join us as we try to do the same and hopefully give you guys some pointers.
Yeah, so the last episode, we were talking about when we first moved in together, and we realized that, of course, it came with challenges because we did not live together prior to getting married. And I just to expound on that a little bit, I just want to throw a fact out there, and you can research this for yourselves. It's said that if you move in together before getting married, you are 3 times more likely to get a divorce. And I found that interesting. But because of our spiritual and religious beliefs, we did not get married. We did not move in together before getting married. We ended the last episode talking about the challenges that came with moving in together for what seemed like a 9-month thing. If you didn't see the last episode, I say that because for the first 8 or 9 months, we were kind of long distance because Gabby was in med school. We got married right before med school, and she was traveling Monday through Friday. She would be in Athens, and I would be an hour and a half away, back where we come from in Stockbridge. So we were only seeing each other on the weekends. But then finally, we moved in together fully. No longer had 2 apartments together. Moved everything to Athens, which is a whole nother journey. Again, watch that first episode. And we had challenges where we had to get used to always being in each other's space, allowing each other to express ourselves, be ourselves, all of that in the same space. So I realized there was another challenge that I had, or that we had. I guess it was more on my side. I'm the type of person that when I'm thinking or when I'm relaxing, I like quiet. And Gabby, for lack of a better way of saying it, no disrespect, is a noisy person at times. She naturally is just, noise doesn't bother her, so it's like she's doing stuff and I'm hearing banging, I'm hearing all these different things. I'm like, wow, this person is noisy.
The reason why I bust out laughing is because sidetrack. So we put the kids to bed, right? Kareem doesn't appreciate when I wash the dishes after they go to sleep. But I have no other time to wash the dishes, clean up. So I wash dishes. And later I realized how noisy I could get with washing dishes. Or, I'm constantly banging stuff by accident. I'm a clumsy person. That was a good one.
Yeah, so I realized that was, and I just had to, be open to who she was. I realized that's just the way she is. She's not trying to be noisy, but clearly did not grow up in a household where noise was an issue. they just want to be noisy. But whereas I guess because the kids, all that, it was a lot of different factors. But I'm naturally a quiet person, especially, I think I've said it in a previous episode where I like to hear myself think. Because not being able to hear yourself think for me is one of the worst things, because you don't want to just respond without thinking, to different people. You don't want to just say the first things that comes to your head. And I'm a thinker. So for me, it's nice to have a quiet moment, a quiet space, to be with my thoughts, and get myself together. So that being said, I realized another challenge in marriage for us was, when I come home from work, and even up until today, when I come home from work, that is especially one of the times where I just need some time to decompress. I need some time to just, just relax, just cool down, ease down from the hectic day at work. And I realize it's so in me that even when work is not as busy, when I get home, I still need time to just relax, have my alone time.
Right.
Before a whole bunch of talking, before a whole bunch of noise, before a whole bunch of engaging. That's a good word for it. Whereas Gabby, how are you when you first come home?
Fine. Just kidding. I am happy to be home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I didn't do anything to anyone today. I expect the same response of being happy that I'm home. And so we just talk about our day, everything that happened, gossip, all the things. So you can edit that when you edit that part. So I don't mind. I'm like, you didn't do anything to me. You're my best friend. I'm gonna talk to you. But my dear beloved husband, who I love so dear, needs his time away. And I definitely took it to heart, because I was like, what did I do to you? I didn't do anything. So you should be able to respond to me with the same amount of gumption or excitement and
gusto.
Sure, all of that. Same. We should be equal, matching each other's energy level. So even after 8 years of marriage, I'm still learning.
I think
the different, like, you needing your time alone has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Again, ego problem. It has nothing to do with me, and I should just give you your space. And when you're ready, we can talk.
Yeah, and I think something you just said, I think it's the energy thing. Gabby comes home and she's kind of mid to high energy, whereas I come home and I'm low energy. And she's expecting me to have that same, match her energy. And I'm like, give me a second. I can do that, just not right now. And for a while, it really caused us
so that's when you'll hear the banging of dishes. Man, I'm like, why he mad at me for? I didn't do anything.
Right. And I'm in the other room, and the noise from the dishes is just making me mad. So it wasn't, two things.
What great times.
Two things that wasn't helping. So that was definitely a challenge for us. I want to go back to something we talked about in the previous episode, as far as when we both first fully moved to Athens. So this was a big one for me. I mentioned before that I didn't know anyone there. I had just left a church family that I had been with over 15, close to 20 years, somewhere around there. I had been there a long time. So I had to get a new church family. Our family that we were close to, now they're an hour and a half away. But one of the biggest challenges that came after that was, now I didn't have a job, because I had left. I actually was working kind of two jobs. I had a job where we came from, and then I also was doing network marketing on the side. And once we moved, it was like the people in my network were an hour and a half away, so that started to die. And then my regular job, I couldn't do that. I had to leave that as well. So now we're here in Athens, and we're living off of our savings, because I did have a little bit of savings before we got married. Even, like I said, God is good. Even through paying for the wedding stuff, I still had savings left over that was our little cushion.
Right.
And also the wedding gifts, because people also gifted us money. So we were basically living off of savings, the gifted money from the wedding, and that year too. That year and 4 years after that. You want to tell everybody what we strategically did?
Loan refund. So every 6 months or for every semester, pay tuition, all that stuff. I had to take out loans for med school. And so whatever was left over that they set aside for housing, we had to use that money, get a lump sum, and have to stretch it for 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Guys, when I say we were struggling financially.
Yeah. And I kind of misspoke. So it wasn't for the 4 years that I didn't have a job, but for the 4 years, we did strategically use the refund money to do things that we needed to do, for our household.
Right.
But those first 8 months were, for me, the most trying and challenging and hard times for me in the marriage as a man. And I say that because any man will tell you, when you know that you have responsibilities, now you're married, you're not on your own, you have a wife, there are things that need to be taken care of in the household, and you put in job applications, you've looked online, you've gone in person, the whole 9 yards. And this is not the first time that you had to do all of this. And that was the thing I had to explain to Gabby. I was like, this is hard for me because this is not the first time where I've been putting in all this effort and still not being able to find a job.
Yeah.
So that was really trying. And I'll never forget, there was a day where we were exercising because we tried to walk, jog, do all that good stuff, even exercise in the home when we can, especially when we first got married. That was one of our things. Yeah. So we were on a run, and as naturally we always start talking. We're talking about what's going on with us, we're talking about our marriage, we're talking about plans for the future, and the situation with me not having a job, that came up. We started talking about that. And I will never forget that on the way, we were almost back to the house. Gabby just started crying. And when I tell you that broke me, it broke me. And she was crying because of how hard things were for us financially, how hard it had gotten for us. And, she's already in med school. There's only but so much time on her hands, and even though I'm trying to find a job, and then it got to a point where I needed a break from trying to find a job, and I know there are men out there who understand where I'm coming from, as far as you just feel exhausted, like I've done everything, like I've filled out all the applications, I just need a break, and then I'll come back to it and start looking again. And I'm really thankful that, just to show the type of woman that Gabby is, she ended up finding a job before I did. And for my self-esteem, for me feeling down, it was kind of like a plus but not a plus. So it was kind of bittersweet, because I'm like, here I am putting in all this effort.
Right.
And I think, what was it, like 1 month you were looking? I don't remember how long you looked.
It wasn't long at all.
It wasn't long at all. And she found a job. And I'm just like, what's going on? But we needed it. And, that job came right on time. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about that time.
Yeah, it was a summer job.
Mm-hmm.
Because between first year and second year, we didn't have anything. So
Mm-hmm.
was definitely able to work at the hospital for a little while. I think, but I remember that every time we had a budget meeting, we were always in the red.
Yes.
Or like at a deficit compared to like what our
I remember
expected expenses and what our.
I remember what it was.
What?
So we put a budget together, and I'm glad you brought that up and you remember that. And we put everything down to pocket money, down to fast food money. Everything is on that budget. Bills, monthly bills, whatever. And on paper, when I first moved to Athens and didn't have a job, we were in the hole about $380 every month.
Yeah.
That means that at the end of the month, we were $380 short of what we needed for our household to run. And we still made it.
I don't
God
understand
is
how.
good. Because even trying to cut, that was with us trying to cut back.
Right.
Because even after we realized, we were like, okay, what can we cut back on? We were like, okay, we're 380 short every month.
So looking back, we were doing the most having two separate households, two separate rents.
Right.
But yeah, I guess it just got overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see Kareem struggle and do his best and still not getting the results that he wants, despite being an honorable person, a hard worker, someone who's on time to work all the time, and who is willing to help, who puts in 110%, and still not be able to get a job, and then how that looks too. And me living out my dream and him not being able to do what he wants to do. Because you had things that you wanted to do as well, but they weren't working out. So that was a hard time. Yeah, I definitely remember crying, and I just I think I left the room and I just ran home.
She just kept running to the house on the end of that run.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a challenge because I really appreciate that.
One more thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we only had one car.
Yes.
So I had to take the bus to school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't drive to school. You had to have the car. And we were not cutting corners, but trying to make things work for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. On that note, I think now transitioning to med school and your schedule and how med school, I guess the challenges that comes with being married to someone who's going into the medical field, married to medicine, as they say. What unique things did you see with that, our challenges?
You are my test patient. my anatomy lab, all the things. I guess not. I don't know. I think with our financial situation, not being able to engage in school and with the other students as well.
Mm-hmm.
What else? My schedule changed, especially during the second half of med school. My schedule changed every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on which rotation. Sometimes we had to drive an hour out, even sometimes to Atlanta for a rotation. But I didn't mind that stuff because I knew that's what I had to do. Now, you tell me, being married to medicine, how did you feel with the schedule change, with me being busy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, again, I am a creature of habit, and I'm used to scheduling out my day or my week so that, I can get things done and be organized. So now with Gabby being in med school and her schedule constantly changing, and even when your schedule, like say we knew, okay, this is the set schedule now for Gabby.
Mm-hmm.
The schedule, even though it was set, it was a crazy schedule. It's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is this, that, the other. Tuesday and Thursday is this, that, the other. So now every day I have to think, okay, tomorrow is a Tuesday. Which schedule is that? On
this rotation. So this means that Gabby is going to be gone from this to this time of the
So for me, our schedules, us not being able to spend time together, her schedule being crazy, it threw me off. And again, I wasn't comfortable. This is being in a place, again, being in Athens, a new place. So there were just, to me, there was a lot of things against me and against us where it was a big challenge because I wasn't used to that. There's no way I was used, all right, I have to schedule out different times to be with my wife. It was just crazy to me. And then it got worse when I realized even when she was off, that didn't mean that we were spending time together because she has work to do. She had to follow up. She had a job because she was the one working. So we could see why people would say, hey, why would you get married and move out there? Or, you know, you guys rush to get married and now, I guess in my mind, going back to what we said before, in my mind, I'm usually not a person who cares what people think, but this was getting to me. It was like, okay, we moved out here and now I don't have a job. So it's like, why did y'all get married if you can't provide for her? You see what I'm saying?
You thought about that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Which is, like I said, it's odd to me because I normally don't think that type of way. But
vulnerable time.
Yeah, it was a vulnerable time to where I would think, man, this is probably what people are thinking. Or you know, why would y'all, or y'all just moved out there to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, not away from family, but anyway, I can't think how to say it. But the whole scheduling thing, that really was a bother and a challenge for me. Really. Because I could never get it right. It was like when you would finally get used to, okay, this month this is what Gabby's schedule is, and I'm used to it. I'm getting into a rhythm to we can spend time on this time on it.
Right.
Then the schedule would change.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, this is not where it's at.
And then even in residency, which might have been worse.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So then on top of that, another thing that I guess the masses would say we did wrong was we got pregnant in med school. So, what year was that? Second year? Fourth year. And again, we know some people are looking at us crazy like, why would you get pregnant in med school?
But listen,
and then there were
school does not stop you from living
your life.
Listen, I gave my 20s to school.
Right.
So let me do the things that I want to do the way I want to do it. Sure, they were challenging, but you know, with us repeating our challenges, you know, I don't regret anything. I don't regret how we did it. Maybe could have chosen a different way to do it, maybe, but I don't regret it at all. But yeah, sorry, I just had to.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So I'm tired of school taking everything, you know?
Yeah, but even though, in that same note, even though there were people that were probably looking at us crazy, I do remember that there were some people cheering us on. Man, y'all better do that. Y'all living professional lifestyles. Y'all are taking care of each other, have a good marriage. You know, your wife is in med school. You're supporting her, becoming a doctor, and now y'all are about to have your first child. Man, y'all are doing it. So that was encouraging because there were people who were there like, man, you guys are doing it big. And we really appreciated that. We want to thank you guys for that. So we say all this to say there's no... But go ahead. You had something?
You did tell them about how you got your job.
Okay.
8 months of not working, but then...
Yeah, so after 8 months of not working, looking for a job... we actually visited our home church, and they were having a special program. So we traveled back home. They were having a special program, and there came a time in the program where they wanted to pray over someone because they had just found out that they had breast cancer. And I was one of the leaders of the church, and even though I was no longer there, we were just there visiting, the pastor and the leadership called me up to be one of the leaders to pray over the woman that just found out she had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, we all prayed over her. We took turns. I did my turn. We finished the program. Everybody went home. I want to say the next week or 2 weeks after that, the husband of the lady that we prayed over called me. And he said, man, we were recording, the whole program. And I just went back and watched the program again and listened to your prayer. And he was like, man, that was a special prayer. I really appreciate you praying over my wife. And he said something like, God wanted me to ask you, are you working? And I said, no, I'm not. And he said, well, I work for an engineering company, and I would like you to come and interview and come work with us. And that's how I got my job. That's the same job I have today.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there over 6 years. So, wow, 6 years ago, from Athens till now, because now we're back on this side of town where our family is. It's just amazing to me that that's how my job came, and I still have that job today. So I just want to say thank you to God for providing that way, looking out for me when I was praying over someone else. So yeah, that is our testimony
For sure.
about being able to provide and med school and the struggles of med school.
Yep.
But I wanted to say before we end that this is why we say, there's no cookie cutter way, like you said. No two marriages are the same. There's no wrong way. Not to say there's no wrong way, but even if there was some things you did wrong or you made some bad choices, that's not to say that you can't make it together.
Right.
As long as you stick in there together and say, hey, this maybe wasn't the best choice, but let's stick it out, let's make it happen, let's make it work. And that's basically what we did.
And saying that you are worth
Working
going
for
through
this.
this together. Like you are, I want to do this with you, even if it's hard, even if it's not conventional.
Right.
I want to do it with you. So.
Because your story, your culture that you create in your household is not going to be like everybody else's story.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like everybody else's culture in their household. So you have to decide with each other, what is our story going to be?
Mm-hmm.
What is our testimony going to be? What is our culture going to be? So that's our story of moving in together. So we pray and hope that this has been helpful and inspiring to you guys, our culture family. We want to thank you guys for sticking in there with us. We're excited about these episodes to come. We want you to comment. We want you to like. We want you to share these videos with those who think would like it or be interested. We want you to follow us and subscribe. Talk about us, man. So thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.